What's up, my friends? We're going to talk 2021 NBA strategy using teamriseorfall.com and fancycruncher.com in conjunction with one another, which is honestly, I think, is one of the better ways to play DFS. We're going to talk a lot of different aspects of NBA DFS. We have so many new NBA members, and it just seems like maybe I should show you guys exactly what we have on the site, how to use it inside FC, how to build lineups. We're going to talk about how to prepare for a slate, how to set up your own personal process for each and every night. And honestly, one of the most important aspects to NBA DFS is how to adjust for late breaking news right before lock and after lock. So we're going to talk about swaptimizing, doing late swaps, whether you're on your cell phone or on your PC, whatever it might be, and a few other things as we get going. I'm going to be showing people how to build an optimal lineup, what to do with your groups, how to use groups, what do you do with core picks, how do you use them when you build lineups. All of this stuff is here for you. It's totally solid information, and these tools are fantastic. But if you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the power. So today I'm going to give you that knowledge, give you that. I'm going to empower you to go out there, build your own lineups, put yourself in a spot to hopefully become a profitable NBA player. And I'm going to say it with this little motto before we dive in: less is more. Seriously, get out of the way. Allow the projections to do what they do best, and that's print cash. And seriously, it's not easy, but it is that easy, if that makes sense to you. And if it doesn't, we're going to show you right here, right now. Let's get after it. Chat, what's up today? I'm going to be in teach mode today. So every once in a while, when I do these teach mode streams, right? Like I am just kind of dialed in. So I'm going to bring up the full screen here. We're going to get after it. And I know that I will probably even upload this to the website right after. And I'm going to show you first and foremost one of the best ways to begin your DFS adventure for NBA. So I've opened up last night's study hub. It's got all the information, all the metrics, all the different things we have here, ratings, projections, rise and fall percentages, ownerships, Vegas stuff, pace, paces here, recent games, fantasy point trends, minute trends, usage trends, value scores, simulation model chances. We got it all. Okay. It's all here. I've downloaded it. What I did is, first off, if you are new this year or have not tried us out, what the heck? We've got this brand new mobile-based page. That means you can do it on your mobile phone. No big deal. You don't have to deal with a spreadsheet anymore. All this information is now on these separate different tools: projections, rankings, Sims model, trends tracker. You can even do your research into all those player stats you like. And it's all mobile based. So you can use this on your cell phone. It'll look just like this. Super easy to use. Search function, team filter function, position function. And anyways, if you take these, you can download them and then go right to Fantasy Cruncher and upload them into your optimizer. There you go. You're ready to rock and roll. So I'm going to show you, though, what I did is I took the projections from the study hub, which we will talk about a little bit later, and I've thrown them into Fantasy Cruncher lineup rewind from last night. Now, if you're like, well, why would I want to check out FC? Well, real quick, this is a tutorial-based video. I will absolutely be uploading this as a tutorial, which is why I'm going to cover this for a hot second. All of our members, you pay $29 a month. You get access to all of these tools, all of these sports, all of the individual cash cores, player pools, and stuff for every sport listed here. All right. It's a very nice setup that we have. Even these side sports that we call MMA, esports, tennis, stuff like this, bunch of different tutorial-based stuff. When you sign up, you actually get $20 to use at Fantasy Cruncher every month. Not a one-time sign up. You get that $20 monthly. And then you'll get the core picks, strategy notebooks. You'll have full player pools for each site, including Yahoo and Superdraft, all sorts of articles, private cheat sheets. We also do private live streams before lock sometimes, all sorts of stuff. You guys can check that out. It's in the description section down below. Goodness gracious, get after it and then get hooked up and get into FC and let us support your FC lineup building. Okay. So I took the projections. I went to upload data. I uploaded them in from last night. So you've got the projections from last night uploaded into here, and watch this. This is what an optimal lineup is. You legitimately just make sure you have no settings. There's zero settings, nothing, no groups, no nothing. You've got the uploaded projections and you crunch. Last night, our projections led to a 370. If you go look at this, the cut line was fantastic down there around 320. A 370 in the showtime took, I think, third place, $2,400 hit. That's the $100 contest. We use this as the marker because it's the ideal type of contest you're entering. 166 people. It's smaller. You're not going to be investing your money into a large field tournament. You're putting it into a smaller tournament, which we tell our members, stop worrying about your silly RG rankings and all that stuff. I gave that up 2 years ago. I don't even play a lot of the contests that get ranked for the past 2 years. I was actually top 10 in whatever that flyweight or bantamweight was 2 years ago. And then I stopped because you know what? I was chasing large contests to get our RG ranking. It was I thought it was a cool ranking system and stuff. But once I realized I can make so much more money playing small contests, stop playing those. Take that money, throw it in a smaller contest. Go do those $27 contests that have 49 people. Do a $25 contest that has 49 people on FanDuel. Do a $27 contest that has 70. Do a $12 contest that has 49 people. Those things don't show up in your rankings, but you know what will show up? Your bankroll being built. Now, if you used the optimal last night straight up, that means you just upload, you crunch, and you just let it rip. This is what you had, a 370. That is phenomenal. You're sweeping all cash games. You're probably taking down all of those small tournaments. And then even in these large tournaments here, you're going ham. Like, these are real good scores. A 370 is phenomenal. You are like probably top 5 or 6 lineups in virtually all your contests. You are absolutely making bank. And this is not the first night. This is not the first night this has happened. People will often do something like this as well, where they'll run out like a 3 max optimal if they do those three lineups. And then you would just sort for like, here's a 4 max. We'll do one more. So you sort, you crunch, and there you go. You got 4 lineups. And you've got a 370 as your optimal, a 310 number 2, 328, 364. Phenomenal. You got a $3,500 night in, $1,000 in, $3,500 out, so on and so forth. Now, if you were to do a 150 max optimal crunch, this is always a really nice way to start. If you're going to be looking at like, where are the projections taking me? And how does this look for my exposures tonight? Where will my exposures end up? So what you do is you upload projections, you crunch out 150, and then see where your exposures are. This is often a really, really nice way to see where the projections inside Rise or Fall are taking you. You can just do this, and honestly, you can kind of find out some of the plays that are going to be probably higher owned on the night. You can often pick out your core for cash games this way. And this is if you want to do it on your own, by the way. I'm just showing you, okay? And I'm going to show you another way where you can legitimately just take the things that we've given you and just upload them in FC and hopefully be able to make some money that way. So I'm going to show you multiple different ways. So as you could see last night, literally just uploading and crunching, you absolutely went ham. And this is what's going to happen if you're running on one unique. The player pool is going to be very tight. Everything's going to be extremely optimal. Wherever your projections are is where your exposures will end up. Now, once you use more than one unique, then you're going to spread out your player pool a little bit. You're going to thin out the top end of your exposures, meaning guys like Anthony Davis, Russell Westbrook still will be your 2 highest owned, but they're not going to be 199%. I'd venture to say if we threw this on 3 uniques, you'd be looking at like 85% Anthony Davis, maybe Russell Westbrook down there at like 82%. And we'll just do this real quick so we can see how it works and you guys can see. What you will get when this happens is less lineups that will cash, but you sometimes have an opportunity to get one lineup that just takes off because you have extra uniques in your lineup, which means each consecutive lineup will have 2 different players on top of the one you've asked for. So if you do 1 unique, each consecutive lineup will have 1 different player. If you do 3 uniques, at least 3 people will change from one lineup to the next. And we'll see doing 3 uniques. Look, these ownerships are already going down. I said 85 and 82. It might be even lower here for Westy and AD. He might just stay up there because he was just too cheap once we saw LBJ out. And we may or may not get a higher score. I'm not too sure. We're going to find out right now, though. When you guys are doing this, though, again, you are going to be moving with the field for the most part, unless your projections are just completely spot on. Now, last night, as we saw in this crunch right here, where we did the optimal 150, projections were spot on. Clap, clap, clap to the ROF team and CG doing the model here. It was a great night. Members are going to smash when this happens. But what happens if this does not come to fruition? Well, you're going to have to do quite a bit of work to try to manipulate things and give yourself a chance at winning money. Now, when I say quite a bit, I don't mean you need to do what the NFL levels are, where you're creating, specific stack groups for each and every quarterback, positional rules, you're capping ownership, you're worried about player exposures to each individual position. Sometimes you're adding randomness to different players and different positions. You're worried about how many people are stacked with each quarterback. Do you do 3-player team stacks only with this guy because it's not potentially a shootout? Is this game going to be a 5-player game stack? So on and so forth. You don't need to do all that for NBA. How'd this end up? Is it still running? That's still running. That's okay. It still would have been a really good night. We're looking at a lot of money won no matter what. So I think it was just one of those nights where it all just came together. It worked great. Optimal smashed. And so did the MME Optimal as well. Now, what do you do if you don't want to be moving with the field? And I don't blame anybody for wanting to do anything different, but I do want to say, and I led this off, less is more, okay? Try to get out of your own way a little bit. And I see it even in chat this morning, people posting stuff saying, well, each and every night I lock these guys. Each and every night I cut my player pool of 30. Each and every night I make sure I thumb up these 48 players, thumb down these 20. I see it every day. I'm not even talking about just this morning. This is something I see all the time. Less is more. Get out of your way a little bit. You can do just a little bit to differentiate from the crowd and set yourself apart in the right ways. Now, we've talked about mispriced players. You just eat them. In NBA, you eat them. Even if they're higher priced, it's okay, unless they're like 11K or something like that. Then we're starting to look for some pivots, trying to get off of some of those players if there's other options available. Those cheapies, those guys who were, Desmond Bain, 3-4, those type plays, when they're that cheap, you just eat the chalk, you let it rip, and you go. If they don't pop off, so be it. It's not going to ruin your night. And if they do pop off, it's going to help you make your night. At the very least, you'll give yourself an opportunity to be an 8v8 in the other 8 roster spots. Now, we do a lot of lineup study on the stream as well. And we saw this in the 2 different lineup study days. We saw the pros, that 150 max and the $15 who made money. All they did was basically just say, all right, these are the cheap chalk guys. I'm all in. 80%, 90% owned on 4 or 5 different guys, and they let it go. And the guys who really just kind of galaxy brained it, just overthought things, and they're like, no, I got to pivot off this player, Okay, now, there are other times, and I'm going to say this quickly, and you guys, this is why it's on YouTube. Hit the pause button, go back. What the heck? So there are other times when you have volatile players who are extremely cheap, all right? Those volatile players, a Kent Bazemore, who is going to be maybe double the ownership of Malik Monk last night. So when you have situations like that, it's very simple. Bazemore's the chalk player. Malik Monk, half the ownership of Bazemore in the same exact situation, who's going to be a shot-dependent guy taking 15 or so shots. He's the GPP pivot. He ended up in my GPP cores last night for that reason. You saw that there. And, well, it did not work out with Steph Curry just absolutely sinking things. We're going to show what you could have done with this player pool and seeing what happens. All right, we'll talk about that in a second. So going back to the optimals here, it ended up being a pretty solid night. Now, a lot of people will like to go here, and I've even seen this. They'll look at one coach, and they'll say, okay, Steph Curry, Malik Monk, Bojan Bogdanovic, who I thought would absolutely eat against Michael Porter Jr. last night. Just, I don't know how it ended up. Was not going well when I went to bed. Julius Randle was my pivot off of AD and GPPs. By the way, AD was a fine tournament option. Maybe just overthought that one for sure, right? And maybe same thing. Should have been Steph Curry just leaving Westbrook in there in tournaments. Crosby seems like he just kind of hammered it home right there. So we're going to go Curry, Monk, Bogdanovic, and Randall. And check this out. So that's just one player pool, one core. I'm just going thumb, Bogdanovic, thumb, Monk, thumb. Now, if you give a single thumb to one player, what it does is it gives them an 8% increase in their projection. 2 thumbs would be 16%. 3 thumbs would be 24% increase. Now, sometimes this is going to help you. Sometimes this is going to hurt you. Now, in a night like last night, where the chalk absolutely erupted like it did, and it did. Westy, ham. AD went nuclear, right? When chalk hits, if you're trying to get off the chalk and you're pivoting at certain price points, you're kind of in trouble. You're going to be fighting an uphill battle, and you can still end up being okay. Now, if the chalk does not hit, this is the nights when you can go absolutely bonkers. And I think it was 2 nights ago, chalk busted, and I had my 4 cores in there, and we saw that when you locked my 4, not just thumbed up, but you locked them in. If you locked the 4 guys that I gave a thumb to, and you crunched a single entry optimal, just one lineup, full player pool, Upload projections, lock, my 4 cores, crunched, you scored a 385, you took down every tournament but like 2 of them, and they were large MME tournaments. It outscored every lineup by like 15 points. It was crazy high. You would have made absolute bank. So, to each their own. There's no one way to victory here in DFS. It is a you choice each and every night. If you want to say, I believe chalk is a viable option tonight. I think these guys are just good chalk, and I'm going to play them. Or you look at it and you're like, no way. Michael Porter Jr. at 6,100, bad chalk. I'm off it. And then you're going to make those pivots. So each and every night, it's a 50-50 decision. I mean, you either believe that some of these higher owned players are good chalk, or you don't. Now you know what to do no matter what you believe. You believe they're good chalk? I promise you this, they're probably going to, I shouldn't say promise, there's a good probability that the good chalk on nights will end up in your optimal lineups. If it's bad chalk, you can't run optimal, you're going to hurt yourself. You're going to have to go and find a way to be a little bit different. Now, you could still make money. Again, we went and gave thumbs up to different players. You could have thumbed down these guys if you wanted, and you still made money last night. And this is with 3 uniques. 1 unique would have been even better. So it's not like you ruin your night. So there's always reason to be a little bit bolder, especially at the higher price players, which I tried to do with Steph Curry and Julius Randle at price point pivots off of Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. Oops. Oh, well, didn't work out for me. So be it. Lesson learned. Those guys just getting slammed in there if LBJ is out, and they're both 9K price tag. And now, what do you do with the rest of this? So we've talked about this a little bit before as well. With this full player pool, of course. Now, that's a lot to look at for a lot of people. So we tell people 2 things. Number 1, you could pick your coach. Dab and Puggle on FanDuel just won $200,000 in NBA. I don't blame anybody for saying Dab is my guy, okay? Scrosby has won $10,000 to $50,000 probably a dozen times over the last few years. He's a lot of people's guy in NBA. I love following him. But everyone to each their own has their own strengths in this industry, and definitely inside Rise or Fall. So what we tell a lot of people is you could simply take this list of players, and I'm going to pull it off to the side so that I can use my double monitors here and do it a little bit quicker. And watch this. Watch what I do for you today. So I'm going to go to my full player pool. I'm going to show you last night. We're going to look at, remove these likes real quick. Go down here, reset likes, dislikes. All right. So I'm going to go to each player, and let me show you a quick way you can do this too. I'm going to uncheck everyone, all right? So I'm going to go one at a time. So what I'll do, I'm looking at Scraz first, Donuts, Team A, CG. And I'm going to go right down the list. I'm going to make a group, and watch how I make this group, all right? So I've got Curry. Nope, let me do it in order. So Rose, Carmelo Anthony. And I'm just typing the first couple letters, clicking their name when they're in there. Darius Baisley, Danger Westbrook, and Malik Monk. Cool. Now, I'm going to show you another thing here in a second, because Malik Monk showed up twice, right? He should maybe get an extra boost, like you give him a thumb. You can do little things like that. That helps out immensely. All right, let's grab Steph Curry. We're going to add him. We've already got Monk. We need Bojan. How'd he do last night? Let me check his box score too. Oh, bummer. Stinker. Julius Randle had himself a good final 4 minutes to save the night. He was at like 30 points, 4 minutes left in the fourth. Well, Damian Lee had himself a nice game, 3.8K. That's a nice pivot off of Bazemore. I like that one, Team A. McDermott got hurt, I believe. Fortunate. Nikola Jokic even got hurt last night. That sucks. I think Porzingis also got hurt. Rudy Gobert. Donovan Mitchell. Michael Porter Jr. looks broken. And then CG just went straight Russell Westbrook and Anthony Davis. Now, I've got this little pool here. I'm going to click this arrow. I'm going to click Add Selected, Create New Group. Now, I've got all these guys in here. If you want, you could give each and every one of them like a 10% increase. You could say, I think these guys, they're all the coaches' cores, so I'm going to give each one of them a 10% increase. You can do this. That's totally easy. You can do this. Give each guy 10% increase on their projections And there you go. And you could say use at least 3 or something like that. So there you've got a nice increase. You've said, I also want to use at least 3 of these core players in each and every lineup. And then you would crunch it out. Only find 12 teams. Sometimes it's going to work out. Sometimes it's not. Again, last night, we tried to get off the chalk a little bit. So a lot of our pivots, not going to work. Other nights, when it works, it's going to smash. So again, if chalk busts and you're using the GPP cores, you're going to make money. Chalk hits, you might be in trouble. So pay attention to what is there and how they are used. Now, I've also seen people simply do something like this, and they'll go to the cash lineup course. And if they're doing for their cash lineup, first off, again, we literally just looked at this. If you just crunch out an optimal lineup, I mean, last night, well, now we're all, there's my player pool. Hold on. Oh, that's what I had done wrong. Shoot. I only had 15 players. So once you make your full group, then you would add all players back in. You would have your group already made, which I just freaking deleted. And then you would crunch out your lineups, okay? So you'd have full player pool, but what you did is you took those 15 guys in the course, you gave them all a quick boost and projection, or you said use at least 3, use at least 4, and then you crunch out your 150. So I had just forgotten to put all the player pool back in. Now, I also will see people with, by the way, again, full player pool last night, crunching out an optimal 370. People use optimal builds for cash games, head-to-heads, 50-50s, double-ups. That's fine. But if you're trying to take down a tournament, you know, it worked last night, but more often than not, you want to be a little bit different. You don't want to be moving with the field that much. I mean, look at the guys we ended up using, right? You click the use button, look at the ownerships. This is going to happen in NBA. You're going to end up being like super chalk if you crunch out an optimal lineup. Most optimal lineups are going to be very chalky, which is fine. I mean, you can make a little pivot like last night. We talked about this one, Bazemore to Malik Monk. And how did this work out for you? Monk was 4,100. Oh, no, he was a guard, though, and Bazemore's at forward. So you'd have to finagle this a little bit to make that even work. All right, anyways, where was I going? Oh, cash games, excuse me. So one other thing people do for cash is they'll go here and they'll look for players' names that show up multiple times. So we've got Jalen, we've got Dejounte Murray, Lou Dort. These guys have shown up in 3 different coaches. So I've seen people, and this is going to help people out. We've got Lou, Jalen, and Dejounte, all right? And they'll simply lock in the guys who show up in multiple coaches' cores, and then they're just the player. Oh, and AD needs to be used. Who else? And Russ, AD and Russ. Those guys show up a bunch. Probably others I'm missing. All right, so you could crunch and get check that out. I mean, it's a 370. So was AD a center last night? I don't even. What was his value? 7.7. Nice. Okay. Let's see what else we have. Is there anybody else? I swear there was another double. There he is. Dwight Powell. Well, now we're at like 6 people showing up a bunch. And look, you still scored a 352, which cashed in tournaments. And you better believe if it's cashing in tournaments, you're cashing in double ups as well. What was the double up last night? Someone help me out here. Single entry double up, 309. I mean, my goodness. So you can do that with cores. You can simply see like, well, who are all the names that show up multiple times? You could put them all into a group. You could give each one a thumb. You could correlate the amount of times their name shows up with the amount of thumbs they get. Dejounte shows up twice. Well, then guess what? You go here. You don't need to lock anybody if you don't want, but maybe you take Dejounte and you're like, you know, he's in 2 different coaches. Cash core. Let's give him 2 thumbs. Jalen Brunson was in 2. Podol was in 1. And oh, wow, look at Vassell was one of our highest values last night. That's cool. There you go. And you just crunch 370. So if you ever wondered like why I tell people I'm such a huge fan of using our stuff inside FC, it's because you can do stuff so easily. Now, we wanted to talk about this because of an issue we had last night. So the news came out and I was like, all right, staff, we need to rerun the tools, rerun the models, rerun the projections, rerun the ownerships, update your cores, update everything. It was like 6:52. You know, lock had been pushed back to 7:30. A bunch of people in Discord, new members, didn't know that. So they're freaking out, wondering about projections, thinking 7 o'clock's lock. And I'm like, hold on, guys. Everything's back a half hour. We just had some news. Let's get everything updated. It went live at 7:03. And I guarantee you, had all those people just been prepared prior to then, you know, a night when an optimal crunch is going to, you know, an optimal crunch scored a 370. You should have made bank last night if you're prepared for the slate. So let's talk about how to prepare for it ahead of time. one quick thing you can do at a time. And let's go ahead and look at, well, I guess we'll just use last night. And I'm going to pare down this show hide columns here to just the things that will help me specifically in regards to making, being prepared for the night. So I've got injuries, likes, position, team, opponent, Vegas points, salary. I'm going to slide down here to where else I want. I like the projected minutes. I'll put all of these in here because I like to compare things. Absolutely. Why would I not? And I'm not going to do anything else. Okay. So my like display is just down to the things that I want to use while I'm making my lineups for the night. Let me check in chat real quick. Say hi, because I'm sure there's a lot of people wondering. Got 80 people watching. Hit that like button if you're watching today. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you're like, dang, I want to use rise or fall projections and tools, they're clearly smashing, and I want to use FC. Well, again, let me say this one more time. If you are not using FC, you get $20 per month to use on FC. So do some quick math. Pay $29 to us, get $20 to use on them. How much did you really pay? $9.99. If you're already an FC member, guess what? That $20 you also get. So do some quick math. You're starting at zero, take $20 away. Oh, wow. Wow, you're saving $20 a month. But you had to add $9.99 in for rise or fall. So you basically, whatever you're paying now for your industry stuff, you pay $9.99 more for us, and you get $20 off FC. Now, the kickback for us, or for FC, is we are here to support every FC user. So inside our Discord, you guys ask all your Fancy Cruncher questions. We answer all of them. So if you're ever like, I've always wanted to try FC out, join us, join FC. Let us support you. We want to help you guys out. Now, I'm seeing in chat right now some awesome stuff. People are talking about Scrosby's notes. They're talking about putting players into groups, say using at least 4 has been working. People are talking in chat this morning in Discord about their different strategies. The site is so easy to use on mobile, says Windy City. He put his 20 max while his kids were in daycare, while he's in the daycare parking lot. Yeah, I mean, the FC mobile is phenomenal, and we made all our stuff mobile downloadable. So, I mean, you could legitimately even take these cash cores and check it out down here, CSV, bang. We got it so that you can just download this stuff. Like if you want to download them and upload them into FC, by all means, you can do stuff like that. Okay. And the projections page, again, you could just download them on your cell phone, upload them right into Fantasy Cruncher and crunch from your phone. We literally have tailored our site to make sure everything works well in the best company in the world in FC. So that's our goal for everybody. Whether you're a member of ours or not, we're here to support both companies here. I just totally got off track because listen, every once in a while I get extra people watching, and I gotta say stuff like that. Where was I going, fam? The cash cores, talked about them. Oh, process. So preparing for your night. So what you need to do before each and every night, there's just a few things. You can take the projections. If you have FC Pro, I don't care. Go ahead, use these. That's a fine barometer. They're not going to be too different than our ownerships are either. So it is what it is, and I'm fine with it. But let's say you're using tonight's, okay? You can go into a slate looking at stuff like this. And you've got a fine opportunity right here. Giannis at 11-2 at 26% owned. But you also have Kevin Durant at 11K, 9% owned. And now when you're looking at the projections, there's a healthy 9-point difference. For me, that screams, that's good chalk. I'm okay with it. That's a big, significant median projection differential. You want to see a weak differential? You look for something like this. You look for a Jason Tatum at 17% owned at 9.4K, projected for 43 points. And then right here, LeBron James at 44 points and an ownership of 4%. Now, of course, if Anthony Davis is out tonight, well, then his ownership projection is going to increase. So will his projection. But you look for those little price point pivots. Where do you have an opportunity to find a player at a similar price point and a lower ownership with a median projection within a few points of each other? This median projection is good to give you a baseline. So one thing you can do is you go into here, and let's use last night as an example. Whether it worked out or not, you can use last night as an example. You sort by salary, and you're going to look at the projections, you look at the ownerships, and you look for any situation where you have an opportunity to maybe get off of some of these chalkier players and pivot to some lower owned players when the median projection might not be too different. Tyrese Maxey right here, 6K, 12% owned. You get a 5% Jalen Green. Projection differential is just 2.75 points. Did it work out last night? Does not look like it mattered too much. They both were within 2 points of one another. So be it. Okay. Mike Conley last night, 16% owned. Is Derrick Rose? Oh, is this tonight's slate? No, that's last night. That's last night. Let me find a big differential. Give me a second to find one. Just so I can drive home this example. Wiggins. There's one. Andrew Wiggins, 22.8%. Median projection of a 30.8. You want to be prepared for the main slate last night. One simple way you could have gone in just to be prepared. You wait for final projections, so be it. Whatever you want to do. You can either just completely thumb down. You could remove a guy like this who, by the way, number one, is volatile. Number two, he's going to have these nice games, but there's going to be a lot of these games baked in. Did it work out last night? Pivoting to Fournier or Josh Giddey or Will Barton? No, not really, but it also didn't hurt you too bad either, right? So you look at stuff like this. Who are the pivots up? Who are the pivots down? And then you're simply looking at this saying, wow, 22%, 23% owned. You got a bunch of guys, 10, 15, 20% less owned around him. You can simply just either remove Wiggins or give him a thumb down and just see how that changes your lineup. Okay. So that is one thing you could do. You go through, you look for those interesting price point pivots. You look for where the super chalk might be. Especially this is a good one. Kelton Johnson, 5.2 last night, right? Volatile player, 5.2K, 27% owned. You've got guys above and below him who, have similar floor and range, type scoring. Did he do the best out of this group of crummy 5K players? Yeah, it looks like he even did. Aaron Gordon did okay last night. I guess he would have been a fine pivot. So maybe you do something like that. You're looking at this, you're like, I don't know about that. He's like quadruple the ownership of some other players. Give him a thumb down too as well. And now your lineup build is changing. I gave him a thumb down. Guess what? He's not in the optimal anymore. Anthony Davis is there. I gave Andrew Wiggins a thumb down. He still even got slammed back in there. So, it's still hard to get. And by the way, the optimal it didn't even change. The optimal didn't even change, even though we had given a thumb down on Wiggins, a thumb down on Kelton Johnson. So, you make these little adjustments going into the slate before final projections come so that you're prepared for when the final projections are here. You upload them in, you go to work. Now, let's look at the 10-27 slate real quick, because I think it's always a little bit easier when you're moving forward to plan for the night ahead. And let's just go ahead. We'll use these FC Pros right here because this is fine. They're right in front of our faces. And we'll look for some of these standout situations. One stands out to me right now. Fred Vampley here, VV here at 20% owned. You've got a guy below him at 11%, a guy above him at 10%, even LaMelo here at 10%, Malcolm Brogdon at 2% against Toronto, who looks terrible. You've got all these guys who are within $500 of each other, above and below, and he's going to be double the ownership. And the projection, the median projection, this is FC projection here. The median projection is within a couple points. What are we doing here? Why even be on a guy like that? Go ahead, use him in cash, feel good about it. But a guy like CJ McCollum on each and every night can outscore him by 20, 30 points. It ain't even a question. That can totally happen. Chris Paul against a super fast-paced Sacramento team, I believe, right? Bad defense. Phoenix implied for 116.25, and you got an ownership of 12. You save 8% ownership. Go ahead, get that pay down option. That's fine. Listen, so it's like there's one spot in and of itself that you could say, I kind of like Chris Paul here, and I'm also going to make sure I'm just off of VV in my tournaments. So you do this up and down each position, and you prepare yourself for the night. That way, and by the way, you look at the cores that are already built. They're out before the final projections are out. You grab these players, throw them into a player pool, throw them into a group, say use at least 4, upload final projections a half hour before slate. You come back and you crunch out your optimal lineup for the night, and you're done. Like, you're already ready. So you saw people joking about it last night in Discord. They're like, I'm just sitting back, they're sipping the tea, the little Kermit the Frog sipping the tea, just chilling, whatever. Like, y'all need to prepare before. So then you upload projections, and literally in 90 seconds, you can be done with all your lineups on one site. I mean, I did in probably 3 minutes last night. I crunched out all of my super draft and my Yahoo lineups together. I had over $2,000 in play last night across those two sites. I did not have a good night because I was off the chalk. I pivoted off the chalk too much. I lost like $1,000. It is what it is. That happens in DFS. A couple nights ago, I won $5K pivoting off the chalk. You have to make your stands, all right? Chalk is good. You think it's good chalk, play them all. Play high amounts of them. Go overweight. You think it's bad chalk, pivot off them, try to be cute. Now, it's going to work out sometimes, not going to work out at others. But no matter what, do it all ahead of time. Final projections come out a half hour before slate. Upload them, crunch, you're done. You're finished. You're ready to go. Don't overthink. Don't overanalyze. Paralysis by analysis absolutely is a thing when it comes to DFS, especially for NBA. Do as much as you can to be prepared ahead of time, because that late-breaking news, each and every slate, can kind of flip things upside down and the drop of a hat. And if you're not prepared ahead of time, you're kind of screwed. Now, one thing I don't mean by preparing ahead of time, do not spend hours and hours using all this data, all this research, and being like, oh, goodness gracious, look at this. Okay, so by the way, Study Hub, pretty cool thing you can do real quick. Number filters. All right, I want minute fantasy point trends greater than 35 points over the last 5 games. Over the last 5 games, I also want their minutes to be greater than 28. And I also need, I want their usage to be over 30%. So now I have created a smaller pool here of players that have scored over 35 points per game over the last 5, minutes over 30 minutes per game over the last 5, and a usage over 30% over the last 5. Maybe what would this be, like the 30 club? Okay. So you made yourself trust yourself. You've got yourself a little pool of just players that have high usage rates over the last 5, high minutes, high fantasy points. Fine, go ahead. And then maybe you go here and you're going to do a ownership of less than 10%. Oops, 0.1. Less than. Let's do this. Let's go. What did we do? I was trying to remember what we did last year. Below average. Right? There you go. One guy stands out. That's what I was trying to get to, where you make you use the filters here to make a selection. All right? Because this larger pool that I was just showing you, look at all the names. It's not going to help you too much. Okay? And when it boils down to the ownerships, okay? Or maybe the rise percentage. I was trying to remember. I haven't done this in so long because I don't fool around with all this. Do I have to use the decimal? Let's do greater than. There we go. We got one player with a rise percentage over 40%. One player. Rise percentage over 40%. Fantasy points over 30. Minutes over 30. Usage over 30. All in the last 5 games. All right. SGA. By the way, his ownership's 27%. And so you could have done all that research only to find, guess what? His rating's a 99. His value is a 5.45. His rise percentage of 48%. And all, by the way, it's clear as day he's already a good play, which is why I tell you to stay out of the way. The projections are going to find these good plays for you. It's right there, baked into the projections. You didn't need to do what I just did to see that SGA is a good play tonight. You upload the projections. Projections are going to tell you SGA is a good play as it stands. Less is more. It's uncomfortable. People love to tinker and do all sorts of things to try to get themselves prepared for the night. You don't have to do all this. You legitimately just don't have to do all this. It's all baked into everything right here. You upload it in the FC. You get familiar with how to use groups in FC. Be familiar with how to use the settings in FC. I'm a big fan of using 3 uniques on very large tournaments. If I'm doing a smaller tournament or MMEing, less lineups, sometimes I'll go 1 and 2 uniques. That is fine. If you think it's going to be a more optimal route to victory, that means you think chalk's going to hit. Maybe 1 unique's the play that night. You think it's going to be a volatile night and you're trying to get off the chalk. 3 uniques might be the play. The more uniques you have, the more you're spreading yourself thin, hoping for that one runner that screams to the top of the standings. I hope tonight was helpful, honestly. Would you just thumb down on some chalk, make some quick pivots? Listen, let's say it's 650. You upload final projections. You go here. You want to do something like this? You totally can. Watch this. Let's do this. Thumb down on him. Thumb up on LaMelo. Thumb up on CP3. So we looked for a higher owned player. We did 2 pivots. All right, SGA, 24% owned. Thumb down. All right. Thumb down on Fred VanVleet. We'll go thumb up on CJ. Jaylen Brown getting full minutes again tonight. What? Anthony Edwards, whatever. I like these guys. Plug them in. Small forward, same thing. Let's keep going. Nobody stands out. Move on. Power forward, 26% in. There we go. Thumb down, thumb up, thumb up. And then you make your lineups for the night. Watch the ownerships. We'll see if they make any significant impact. I'll simply sort each position, or excuse me, I'll sort the like button. Just click it. It filters it, and you can see where your ownerships are. So my thumb up players, I'm getting a little Durant, a ton of LaMelo, little CJ, little CP3. And then if I click it again, I can see the guys I gave thumbs down, and check it out. I stayed away from them a little bit, which is nice. So now I'm off some of the chalkier players. I mean, you could legitimately probably even throw all chalky players into a player group and then say, use at most 2. Like if you want to do that, maybe tonight, like here's your 20% owned, the 20% group. All right. You click this, add selected, create new group, and you've got these, use at most 2. There you go. So now you've got all the chalkier players on the slate. You don't think Chalk's going to do well tonight. Maybe you're worried because D'Anthony Melton's been priced up now. He's no longer a value. SGA, maybe he's priced at like a volatile price point now for his already volatile production and whatever, so on and so forth. Okay. Bunch of studs tonight. Do you need to pay up for the highest owned stud at 10.8K when you've got a bunch of other studs with similar range of outcomes, similar probabilities, and they're all around the same price point? Well, then maybe you're off of him too. So at most 2, this is the Chalk group. And then maybe this group is like your pivot group, right? So you do this. Again, I'm just trying to answer these questions. Click this arrow, add selected, and now you're trying to be pivot. All right, at least 3. Here's my pivot group. So at most 2 chalk players, pivot group at least 2, at least 3, between 1 and 5. Whatever. You got the world is your oyster here with FC. It was a pretty good stream. It's focused. I'm focused, trying to help people out. I want y'all to make money. And again, like the freaking projections last night, you scored a 370 optimal. You could have watched Monday's stream and saw another way to make bank. Like our goal is to just make things as easy as they can. We're just all about efficiency. If you're not using the core picks, look at Scrosby's player pool. His priority picks last night were dope. Oops. Oh, my wife is streaming in the other room. Everything's going to load slowly from here. He's got his priority GBP picks. Shoot, I mean, AD, Russell, Luka, jam them in. You could have locked all 3 in. Dejounte Murray, priority 1 GBP, whatever. Yahoo, FanDuel, Superdraft, DraftKings. How'd my course do for Yahoo last night? I'm curious. It's had a tough night. I probably got cute in there too. Actually, Yahoo, I don't get as much cute. Great stream. Less is more in NBA. Absolutely. Brunson, Poole, White, Kristaps, AD, Bogdanovic. Well, I got to clean these out for staff and prepare for the night slate. We got money to make, my friends. I hope some of you guys check out the site. I think it's a good site. Heck, I just want you to get in there so you can use Fancy Cruncher with us. It's too fun not to, man. You can download this stuff and upload them right into Fancy Cruncher. How sick is that? You can download the pools, upload them in the FC. We already put the numbers by them so you can sort, make your pools with those. You do what you need to do. Guys, gals, I'm out. I got to go. It is past 1:30. I'm late to what I need to get to, being dad for the rest of the day. Hit that sub button if you're new to YouTube. Hit that like button on your way out. Share this video with your friends. By all means, join up today. Use your $20 voucher on FC every single month. Do not forget, it's not just a one-time sign up. We're talking $240 per year to FC, and we'll support you every step of the way. And if you're a single entry player, by all means, we can hook you up here too, take care of you. You can use FC to make your single entry. You could just use our site for single entry, for MME, whatever you want to do. Whatever way you play, we're supporting all players on FC and ROF. So check us out. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. We will probably do a little bit of NBA lineup study. I think it's probably a good time tomorrow to do some NBA lineup rewind, talking about what I did today, applying it tonight, and then rewinding it, seeing how it went tomorrow. I think that's a fine exercise. And then Thursday, we'll probably do some NFL showdown stuff for the Thursday night showdowns. I think, what do we have? Cardinals, Packers. Going to be a good one. So we'll focus on that for our next stream. I hope you enjoyed today, and I'll see you on the inside, my friends. Have a good day. Fortune favors the bold, baby.